Hi, Melissa.
And I'm Mike. I was
Welcome
just about
back.
to take a sip of my iced coffee before we started. Cheers.
Cheers. I made my iced coffee today because I basically just brewed a Keurig strong thing. Because I have
Yeah.
like the French roast, which is stronger. And then I
Yeah.
just brew it on strong 8 ounce. And then I added
Yeah, I've
ice
done
and
that
creamer
too.
to it. Like I put it in the fridge this morning. I
Yeah.
planned ahead. Put it in
Oh,
the
okay.
fridge.
Yeah,
Let it chill off.
I gotta go and make I don't have any ground coffee, but I gotta make remember I was making cold brew for a while, like the homemade cold brew with the
Oh,
cold brew. I
yeah.
gotta do that again. Right now we have some Starbucks, pre-made iced coffee in the fridge, so
hmm
this was an easy one.
Yeah, that's always more convenient. Or you can just,
Yeah.
it's more convenient going to Starbucks.
Yeah, that's true. So, on today's episode, I was thinking earlier in the week. I was looking
hmm
like in our kitchen on the counter we have a Google Home Hub. It's the big screen, Google Home Hub, and I forget what question I asked it, but it came up with information on the screen, and it was really neat. And I'm like, wow, what a great time to be alive, when you have those kind of like convenience things around. But then I was thinking about stuff from like when I was a kid, and some of it I guess was still around when you were a kid, but stuff from when I was a kid that like just doesn't exist anymore, that you just don't see. Like one of the ones that I thought of was like, well, the first one that I thought of was like Saturday morning cartoons. Like you'd get up on Saturday morning, you'd pour yourself a bowl of cereal, and you'd go and you'd sit in front of like for me it was you know, Bugs Bunny, Wile E. Coyote, all those ones, and like you'd sit and watch that until like 10 or 11 o'clock, whatever, and then you go out and play. But I feel like Saturday morning cartoons aren't even a thing anymore.
Well, they could be a thing. I've tried to force Saturday morning cartoons and like cereal, but the thing is, like, if I'm being honest, especially after like just seeing this generation, and I'm sure other people like they just don't even appreciate that. Like
I
they don't
know.
even appreciate they not even appreciate. I think appreciate maybe is the wrong word. No, I mean I guess appreciate. Like they don't even know like back then, I'm trying to think of how to word this. Back then, that's all we had, you know? So that's just we weren't doing it for any other reason except that like you woke up on Saturday morning and you didn't really like video games. We've talked about it before. The video games weren't even advanced enough where it was a thing of like waking up and playing video games.
Yeah.
So the only thing we had was you wake up, you watch cartoons because I'm not going to watch the news. So the next best thing I could do right now, besides play with my toys in my room, is watch
Right.
cartoons.
Yeah.
Now kids just have so many other just things and it's stupid things to watch. Like
Yeah. I know.
anytime I see
Some
the
of that.
shorts go on the TV, I'm just like, turn it off,
Yeah.
turn
Why?
off the YouTube
Well,
shorts.
yeah, it's the attention span thing too. I mean, some of the cartoons like were short,
Yeah,
short cartoons, but
like 20
you'd watch
minutes.
them for a
Yeah.
half hour and it was the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, because even like
I've tried to push it. Doesn't
yeah, when I
work.
when I was a kid, when I was a boy, when I was a kid, it was even more so because like we had three channels. We had the three networks, and then you had like maybe three or four other local channels, and like PBS, which is where like Sesame Street and all that run, and that was it. Like that, those were all
Yeah,
the channels. So when I was
right.
little, now cable came into being like when I was young. I was probably like 8 or 9 when we first got cable, but even
Right.
then, so and you know what I can't figure out too. So back then we had, like I said, maybe 6, 7 channels total that you could watch on the TV. I feel like back then I did not complain as much about there's nothing on TV. Now I sit down at night and on YouTube TV we probably have 50 channels, something like
Yeah.
that. And there's so many nights where I'm like, there is nothing to watch on here. It's just I don't
But I think
understand it.
that's because, you had your cartoons that were just you liked all the cartoons that were pretty much on. I can't really think of too many times that it was like there's a cartoon on, because that's also the thing. It's not like you could even, we just watched whatever was on. That's just what it
True.
was.
Yep.
You didn't have the option to be like, what do I want to watch this morning? Should I watch this? Should I go to Hulu? Should I go to Netflix? Should I go to Disney Plus? You didn't even have that option. It was, okay, here's my three channels. Which one do I like the best out of these three? And then
Right.
you would pick it. And
Right.
also, I don't remember hating commercials. Kids hate commercials nowadays. Hate
Yeah,
them.
that's because, like, if you're watching stuff on YouTube, you just do skip. You know,
Right.
you don't
Right.
even
You
have to
watch the
watch them.
the 5 seconds, 10 seconds,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah. But then the other thing it made me think about was I also remember um, how, like, before, like, around this time of year, when we were getting to the time of year where, like, the new TV season was coming out, like, all the TV networks would hype up whatever their new shows were. They'd have,
Like
like,
a Dancing with the Stars type of
yeah,
those shows.
yeah. Well, whatever was coming on for the new season, they'd have, like, I don't know, one night, a Friday night or whatever, they'd have some preview of all their shows, for the fall, and it was
True.
like a big deal. And that's not really a thing anymore because, like, they don't release series really the way they used to, where it was everything came out in, like, September and that.
Yeah.
Oh, on that note, by the way, you remember last year when we started this podcast? I think one of our first topics was about when is too early for fall.
Yeah.
We've officially arrived at too early for fall because I sent you a picture of this. I was in Starbucks, or I was in Target yesterday evening. It's still
Mhm.
July. It's still July. They had a whole end cap of fall Starbucks coffee flavors, including the wonderful pumpkin spice. They already had those out, and then Instagram is kind of the same thing because I'm already seeing fall, like, recipes showing up in my feed on Instagram. So
I
I
don't know
got
about
off
you, but
topic there, but
I'm kind of ready for it.
nope, not yet,
A little
not
bit.
yet.
Not
I'm
ready
ready for
for it. Like,
football.
I don't want to do it now, but I'm just saying, like,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
enjoyed my summer, so now it's just kind of like, okay, yeah.
I still want to swim. Sorry, I'm not ready yet. But anyway, but that just made me think of the whole fall TV shows thing. That was another one that
That
came
was a
to
big
mind.
thing. Yeah, fall,
Yeah,
the new season all in the fall, everything. When they used
yeah.
to, they also don't do the interesting shows anymore, like the interesting, and maybe they do, and I'm just not. I don't, I think it's also because a lot of people don't have cable, so people wouldn't watch it anyway.
True.
It would be, if they had it, it would be on like a streaming service. But the shows like Survivor and, Amazing Race and all those like special challenge shows, they don't really
Yeah.
have them anymore.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, the funny thing is, we were talking the other day, like, we don't even really watch network TV shows, like, at all. I think there's
Yeah.
one show that your mom watches. It's like a game show that's on, I think it's on Fox. And
Mhm.
other than that, oh, sorry. Other than that, I can't think of anything like on network TV that we watch on a regular basis. Like, there's series that we watch, but they're all on, like,
Mhm.
other streaming channels. So it's
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
wild.
that's also that's the difference I think just between now and then is back then it was more even for us kids. Oh, I gotta be home Friday, 8 p.m. on Disney Channel or Nick or whatever. They're gonna have The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody's movie. I
Yeah,
gotta be home to watch it. It's at 8 p.m. If I don't watch it now, I gotta wait
yeah,
for the rerun. Like, I have to be
yeah,
home to watch it at this time.
yep,
Now nobody has to
yep.
worry about that. They don't
No,
gotta worry about that at all.
it's
It'll
like,
be the biggest thing I hear is like, oh wait, what's today? Oh, 3 days from now, this comes out on Netflix.
yeah, yeah.
You know?
They drop another season. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
It's so different, and people. It's like you said, like, kids today. These kids today, kids today, like, they don't even realize how good they have it with that stuff, and yet
Yeah.
and yet. I feel like there's something missing with that. It's even like when you get to the time of the year where the like the Christmas movies are on. Like most of those Christmas movies are on any streaming service you want to go to. So if you want to go watch the Santa Claus, any of the Santa Claus movies, you can go on Disney Plus and you can watch any of the Santa Claus movies. If you, you know, most of the other like holiday movies, you can find them on some streaming service to watch. And to me, it was it was like more special when it was like, oh, Frosty the Snowman's going to be on, Tuesday night on CBS, and that's when you had to watch it. It was like there was more excitement about it because
You
now
know
like
where you can get that vibe? Hallmark.
Hallmark, I'm not in alignment on the Hallmark movie thing. Nope, nope. All those movies are the same story.
They
It's
are.
exactly the same story over and over.
It's so funny.
And but they've they've found the formula. Why mess with it?
Sure.
I don't blame
Hey,
them.
they get viewers. They get viewers. I'm
That's
not
right.
hating on them at all. You know,
Yeah.
that I think that is the channel that actors start on.
Yeah. It's what used I feel like it's what used to be soap operas, because the soap operas back in there's another thing. The soap operas back in the day was like where actors would start their profession, in TV. You'd always see them on like some soap opera first.
Soap operas are still a thing. I think it's just a different like dynamic that, or not dynamic, but generation that watches them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
My
I don't see them on
grandmother.
anymore. Yeah, well, I don't see them on anymore though. I don't know. I don't know where are they on. I don't
They're
know.
on.
Yeah, maybe
When
I'm
I
not.
would be
It could be that I'm working when they're on, so I don't really pay attention. But
you
when I'm
just
not
turn it
working,
off. You turn it off right at
uh,
the talk show morning time. But if you
yeah.
left it on, it would be after that and before the news.
Oh, okay. I'll remember that. But I feel
You
there's definitely
usually,
not as many as there used to be, because it used to
no,
be
no,
like
no. Yeah, it's
between
not as
like
big.
the noon o'clock news and the maybe the afternoon talk shows, which used to come on at like 3 or 4 o'clock. It was all soap operas. It was all soap operas. I don't necessarily miss those. It's just another thing that I'm thinking of that like was around back in the day that I don't feel like is anymore.
Do you think that people are more or less nice and generous now versus back then?
Oh, that's a tough one. Are they more
Just people as
nice
a
and
whole.
generous?
Obviously,
People as a whole. And I feel people are a lot angrier today than they used to be. I think like the over, it's not politicization, but the kind of the over, tribe mentality of things of, well, if you disagree with me on this, we can't even, talk to each other. Like that whole
Mhm.
thing, I think has made people a lot more like just on edge and angry and that. I feel
Yeah.
like, back in the day, people were less like you cared about that stuff less. You paid attention to that stuff less than
Mhm.
people do today. People put way too. It's somebody the other day was somewhere on some social media. They were commenting on something on a sports team's page. It was something political, and people started complaining about it because they're like, "No, we come here to get away from that. Like, stop that stuff." And I've seen the same thing even on LinkedIn, which I don't think is right at all. I don't think people should be putting that kind of stuff on like a platform that's intended for like communicating with people. Maybe that you have things in common from a work standpoint or whatever. I think like just leave that stuff somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that probably just has to do with I think that now people are a lot more, they bring politics into real life
Right.
uh a lot more. I
Yeah.
think that, in terms of if you say a certain thing or wear a certain thing or act a certain thing or think a certain thing is funny, people automatically will just tie it back to just
Yeah.
automatically trying to dissect what political party you're from, which is kind of weird, I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie.
Yeah.
Just because I think something is funny or I don't know, believe one thing. I believe things from both parties if I'm being honest.
Yep.
But I
Yeah.
think a lot of people try to immediately dissect anything that anybody does or says
Yeah.
to automatically
Yeah. And
politics and
I think from like a comedy standpoint too, it's made it tough, right? Because there
yeah.
are people out there. There are some that are like I think that's what's destroyed the late night TV shows is they got
Mhm.
so political, like to a point where like again, it's not making. I'll put a perfect example is there was a thing on the ESPY Awards with Shane Gillis where he was like he was making some jokes about Trump and they were funny jokes, you know, and and it made me think of like you know a lot of those late night shows that would like you know I would say mock things about him. It just wasn't funny, you know. It was just like okay, we get it, you don't like the guy, but like make it funny. You know, there's ways to make things. There's a lot of funny things about Trump that aren't necessarily things where you're just like you know where you can tell from like the nature of the joke that it's just not you know it's not humor, it's just you just dislike him, you know. I think there's a
Yep.
difference between like you know making fun of somebody in a comedic way and like mocking somebody because you dislike them. One is funny,
Hmm.
one is just like you know not.
Yeah, I think there's some comedians that do it well, but I also think that there's a lot of comedians that stay out of it just because, you know.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other side of it is a lot of comedians, especially like what was his name? Louis C.K. Like he just kind of disappeared. And I know there were some things,
Hmm.
I think he had some allegations against him or came out and said he had done some things, or I forget the whole detail, but he just kind of disappeared. And then at one point, I think he was trying to make a comeback and people were attacking him for it. And it's like, guy's got to make, you know, a living somewhere. And he's a funny guy, you know? So it's a shame that
Yeah.
like, you know, that's where things are is if you disagree with somebody, you just like try to destroy them. You know,
Oh
that's
yeah,
not cool.
they'll go 25 years back if they have to
Oh
on
yeah,
you.
yeah. But then back to like some of the other ones I was thinking of, and you can throw in any that you might have because I feel like I'm just naming all my things. But the other one I thought of was like breakfast cereal that came with like the toy in the box. You know, like I think it was Captain Crunch. They used to always have a thing with like a little submarine that you'd put like I'm getting a lot of crackle. I don't know if you are, but if you're hearing, are you hearing that? Okay, it's just my headphones. But they used to come with like you know toys like I said, the one I think of is in Captain Crunch, a little submarine that you'd fill it with baking soda and it would dive down and then come back up. It was like the coolest thing, you know. It was all those little crappy cheap plastic toys that they'd throw in the box, and man, that made me want to eat that cereal. They don't. And then the other thing that I thought of too was the gumball machines in the front of the stores. You know, you'd go into the store as a kid, and man, if you had a quarter, you know, you were having a good time, like getting some crappy little cheap toy out of a gumball machine. It was like that was the best day ever. I can't tell you the last time I was in a store that I saw one of those machines in there.
They have them in the mall, I think. Like real
Yeah,
gumball
but the
machines. Ooh, the gum is so it's first of all it's more than 25 cents, I believe. I think it's like 50. But, you know, and it's just that it's that gum that you chew it for I don't know, 5
the
minutes if
gumball's
that.
like that big.
Giant
Yeah,
gumballs. They have the two. Again, I don't know if they're still there, but it was like the two, the regular one or the sour one. The sour one is
yeah,
so
yeah,
good, and yeah, you know you chew that thing 10 times,
yeah.
10 chomps down, and you know it's out of flavor. But
Yeah, and by the way, it very quickly turned into like as though you were chewing on a rubber eraser.
yeah,
Like
it
they lost
does.
their
Yeah,
gumminess
yeah.
very
It
fast.
does get, yeah. It does. The texture change switch up is funny. That's
Yeah. That might be why that's not around anymore. But the one, like I said, the one like they used to. And I remember this when Jay was little. They used to have the machines around this time of the year that had like all the football little mini football helmets in,
Oh yeah, the
and
little football
you'd put a
helmet.
quarter or 2 quarters in. You'd get like hopefully you got the team you wanted. I remember those too, and like all that stuff's just not all the things that kids today are missing out on. Great
You know,
stuff.
you know what? I'm kind of glad that they're not around anymore because then you don't have to hear the like, "Can I have a quarter?" We don't even have
Yeah,
quarters on us nowadays. I don't have, I keep
yeah.
one quarter in the car for when I go to Aldi.
There's a. I saw there's a trick to that. How about this? You put
A
your if you
key.
have your house key, yeah, you put your house key
Yeah.
in the back of it, and then you just drive around with the cart, and when you take it back out, you can't.
I don't
You
have
still
a I
can't
don't
steal their cart, so
I don't have
or they
a
can
I don't
have
have
they get your house in place of the no,
true.
because you'd still have the key because you took the cart.
I
How,
don't have
let's
my
think about that a minute, though. How is that a deterrent from you stealing the cart?
It's not. I don't think it's a deterrent from stealing the cart.
Oh,
I
okay.
heard that it's to save on having like a cart person having to go in the parking lot and
Ah,
collect all the carts because you're more inclined
see,
to take your cart back
if you're
if
gonna get that quarterback,
to
yeah,
like get your quarter back
it's a
or
good
whatever.
point.
It's not
Yeah,
necessarily like stealing
quarterback.
the cart because I can still steal a cart, yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah. My quarter's still in there. Yeah,
I'm gonna take it back to because I'm
right.
not just gonna leave,
See, now
you know.
when I worked at a department store, the best part of my day was like when it got to be. I think the store closed at 9. When it got to be like 8:30, and I got to go outside and go collect all the carts because I got to go outside instead of having to be
Like
in the
have
store.
a
I used to
break, yeah.
love that.
Finally get some fresh air.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Except when it was winter, because it was up in it was up in Pennsylvania, obviously, and when it was winter and it was cold and snowy, I hated it. I probably left the
that's
carts out
funny.
there, to be
Yeah,
honest.
you were with them. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm usually a cart returner, but they also have like a little tool thing that I saw that people sell online for your Aldi cart. I just have my mailbox key, which I don't think. I guess it's tiny enough that it would probably fit. I don't
Yeah.
know. I just have my handy dandy quarter. I take it out, put it in the same little part in the car, like every
Right.
time. The day
Well,
that
and
that quarter
so
is missing.
here's the point too, though. If the point of that is to get you to take the cart back, you're still doing it. Like, yeah, I didn't have to put a quarter in there. It's not like they were keeping it's not like you were renting the cart for a quarter. It's not like they were keeping the quarter and I found a workaround for it because I stick my key in there instead. Like you could make the argument that it's actually stupid to put your key in there because if it gets stuck, that's your key, you
It's
know?
my key. The other day I went there and I only went there for like literally 5 items. So I didn't need a cart. And so I didn't even bring my quarter. I left it in the car. And there was a lady who was parked like in the like right across from me in the parking lot and she had a cart and she just unloaded her cart into her car.
Mhm.
And she goes, "Hey, ma'am, would you like my she didn't call it a buggy. I don't know. Would you like my cart?" And I was like, no, I don't need it. And then I was like, "I'll take it back for you though." Because
You
like
got
she was trying to be nice and be like, "Oh, here, you don't have to worry about your
yeah,
quarter. Like keep mine, whatever."
yeah,
But I didn't need a cart. But then and then I was like, she doesn't even care if I need a cart or not. Like she just doesn't want to take this back up to the store.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
so I rolled it up to the
Maybe
store and I
maybe
just left
she
it there.
oh, did you get the quarter?
I didn't get the quarter, no, because I
Oh,
felt
see.
weird. I felt weird doing that. I was like, let me just
Yeah, but now the next person that
pay
went
it
and got a free
forward.
cart. Next
That's
person got a
okay.
free cart. Like
Free
probably
cart,
what she
free
was hoping
quarter.
you'd do is because I've been there before where somebody was like, "Oh, here you want to take mine," and I just hand the quarter, because like, yeah, I'm not going to keep your quarter.
Oh yeah, no, keep my
So
quarter. Whatever.
yeah,
That went off
yeah,
on a tangent.
then that makes me think of some things that like aren't around anymore, and I'm okay with it, like payphones. Payphones sucked.
Yeah, did you ever have to use one?
Oh my gosh. I mean, what do you think we did when we were like, at the mall and we wanted our parents to come and pick us up? Like
Oh, true.
we didn't,
I just
I couldn't,
assumed it was like pick me up at 8. Oh,
well,
okay, it's 8.
maybe. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, I mean, all the time, like payphones were everywhere back in the day. Now
That's
they're like
crazy.
nowhere. And if they
So
are
you
there, they don't even work.
so you just always had people's phone numbers like memorized?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. I could tell you right now what my phone number was when I was a kid.
Let's
I
call it.
won't.
Let's
I
call it
won't because
right
somebody.
live on the podcast. Let's call it and see who
Yeah.
lives there, who
No, I
uses it
won't
now.
mention it. I won't mention it on here because then people will call it and they'll ask for me, and somebody else has that number, and it'll just annoy them.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how that is. Like, do you remember ours from drums from when you were a kid? I don't, by the way.
788. I bet mom does.
Yeah, maybe. I don't
I
know.
know there's a five in it.
I remember your Grammys and your Nana's phone numbers from up there.
But in
Um,
Pennsylvania, like down here, we use the area code, like 321-407, when
yeah,
you're telling someone your
they
phone
did up there
number.
too. They did
I
up there
never
too.
did. If somebody asked my
No,
phone
so
number
here's
up
the
there, I
thing.
never said 570-788. I would just say
Because the way it
788,
used to be, if
blah
you
blah
were,
blah
and
blah.
I don't think it's still this way, but the way it used to be, if you were calling from the same area code and there was only one area code in that area, you didn't have to put in the area code. It's only if you were calling to it. So where we lived, it was 570, and I don't think there was anywhere around us that wasn't 570. So if you were calling somebody else that was in the 570 area code, you just would do, they call it the exchange. You do the 788 and the last four. But if you were calling somebody another one, but the problem is, and maybe up there you can still do that. I don't know. But like down here where we live, there's 407, but there's also 321. And I think there's also like a 689 now. And it could be somebody across the street has a 321 number. So they
Oh
can't do
yeah,
it that way.
for like house phones.
Yeah. Yeah. Or your cell phone too. I mean,
I mean, even my
because,
cell phone, like I can live in the same house with somebody with a different area code.
yeah,
You can go to
exactly.
the phone company anyways now. Like before, they just gave you whatever phone number, but you can literally, I can go to the phone company right now and say I want a 570 area code,
Yeah.
and they'll
Yeah.
give it to me. You know,
Yeah. Yep.
like I can tell them I want like whatever phone number I want. So that's also the difference.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that our numbers that we have that are 407 area code numbers, we've had now for over 20 years.
I have had the
That's just
same phone
wild
number.
to me.
This is the same phone number that I have had since I first got my cell phone. This is the
See?
phone number that Chris and I shared, and then he got
Wow.
his, so that's why his is so similar to mine, probably.
You got to keep the original one.
And
That's,
I got to keep the
yeah,
OG one.
that's the advantage of being the older sister is you got to keep the original phone number. And he had to take the new one.
Yeah.
At what
Oh,
point
so that's
do you ever think like at some point we are going to run out of phone numbers? They're going to have to make them like they're going to have to add extra digits or something. I mean, because
I don't think
you,
so, because I think people are, well, maybe, yeah, because people are always getting new phones. I was gonna say, because eventually, like, I get a new phone number, so I take someone else's phone number, and then someone takes my phone number.
yeah. Well, and I
You know
guess
what I
the
mean?
thing is too, people are moving away from landlines so much that all those landline numbers are going into the pool now too. So
Yeah.
like
And then if
I don't even
anything, they
remember
just
what
get new
our
area codes.
yeah. Yeah, they keep adding. Yeah, that's true. Because like I said, when we moved to Florida, it was just 407, and then at some point after we moved down, they added 321, which I think was originally supposed to be for the like more towards the Space Coast because 321 blast off. That's where that came
Oh,
from.
that's
And but then they
cute.
recently added 689 too because they ran out. Right, they ran out of numbers in 407 and 321. So they are kind of starting to run into that issue and eventually, what I don't know. I can't do the math of how many numbers that would give you, with just area code. Because there's also some they can't use. Like they can't use anything from 0 to I don't know. You can't like there's no area code 000. For example.
Yeah, you know what
So
else is different?
hmm,
Talking on the phone.
talking on the phone. That's true.
And leaving voicemails. I don't think, you know what? I don't get enough voicemails from missed calls. And unless it's
Yeah,
like a spam, unless scammers always leave a message. The
yeah, that's
spam
true.
calls, always leave a
No,
message, and they know my name.
yeah, they
They
do.
know my
They
name
do.
somehow.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's
Nobody
associated
else,
to your phone number, and
nobody
that's how
else
caller
leaves
ID
me.
works.
I want more voicemails if I don't answer. Like,
Yeah.
why are you calling? I'm not gonna call back. I'm gonna start
Yeah.
not calling back if you don't. Brandon, I'm looking at you.
Oh, so you're complaining about when people you know call you that they don't leave voicemails.
When, yeah, when you call Nana and
Ah,
she doesn't answer, you always usually leave her like a voicemail or
not
something like
always.
that.
Not always, to be honest. I do sometimes, but not always. Sometimes if it's just like, oh, I know she'll see that I called and she'll call me back.
Like,
I
hey,
feel I feel
just
like the people
calling to
who
see what you're doing.
yeah, but I feel like the people who call and don't leave a voicemail sometimes it's because they're just moving on to the next person. Like you didn't answer, so there's somebody else they're gonna call about
Brandon.
it. That might be Brandon. Like
He's calling you.
he calls you and you don't answer. He calls me. That's
and then and then you usually answer.
yeah, probably,
So it's just like,
probably.
because that
Usually,
means
Brandon
usually by the
Brandon always manages to call me either right as I'm about to get on a workout or right uh, as I got on the workout. Like I just start pedaling the Peloton bike and he calls every time.
That's so funny. Yeah, people
Yeah,
don't leave as many voicemails and really talking on the phone in general anymore. I guess that's just because we have texting, but
yeah,
I love a good phone call. I just love a phone call. If I'm not
yeah.
doing anything, if I'm just hanging out and I just want to chat, love a phone call.
I situationally don't mind a phone call, but sometimes phone calls are like not the most convenient.
I like phone calls when there's things to talk about. I
Right.
enjoy a phone call when I have stuff to talk about and
Sure.
tell
Because you
somebody.
want to see somebody's reaction to what you're telling them or hear their reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I get that.
do hate I hate when the phone calls get very like when it's like, okay, well, got nothing else to talk about, so
Yeah, yeah,
I'll you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like
yeah,
it's just that forced conversation. Hate when that happens on a phone call.
yeah, yeah.
You know where that doesn't happen? Between me and you, Dad.
That's right. That's right. Although I have
Dad.
to admit something, when you called this morning, I was in the middle of my strength workout and you
Oh,
interrupted it.
wow.
But
I know I had to go off for a moment.
yeah, can't blame
And
you there.
I was like, I know he's gonna
That's why.
answer because it's early.
Yeah, that's why I also didn't say to you, well, let me call you back because I'm in the middle of a workout because that's what Brandon usually gets. Because I knew it was
That is
probably
funny.
something that you needed to talk about. So,
Okay, well, I have
planning the
something
podcast.
exactly.
Okay,
It
shoot.
wasn't planning the podcast though.
Yeah, no.
It was, yeah. Was just going off about about my life. Okay, so I found this thing on Reddit that I want to ask you.
Okay.
That I want to see your opinion on because speaking of generous people back in the day and stuff like that, I feel like a lot of people are less curious these days, but I like seeing little stories where people are. But then also the regret in this, I also get. Okay, it says, I found money in an ATM and now I regret returning it. I show up to a Wells Fargo ATM and there is $300 sitting in the cash dispenser. No one around, as if someone made a withdrawal and then forgot to take their money. I waited about 10 minutes to see if anyone came back, but no one did. I was with my 9-year-old son who was excited and asked if we get to keep it. I
Mm.
told him the right thing to do is to return it. However, this was a Sunday and we would have to wait until Monday. Good opportunity for a lesson, right? Kind of. I go in on Monday and explain to the manager what happened. They told me no one had contacted them yet, but they will put it back in the bank. And if someone comes and asks, they will look at the balance and at the end of the month, um, or something like that. No pat on the back, just a simple thanks, and the bank absorbs the cash with no real outcome. Could have used that 300, but I guess it's an important lesson for my son.
Yeah. So you know what? I had something like that happen to me like years ago.
Mhm.
I had gone to Boscov's up in Pennsylvania to buy some clothes,
Mhm.
and so I checked out, and they gave me my bag, and I get back home, and I go to try the clothes on, which I should have done before I took them home. But anyway, I went home to try them on, and I opened the bag, and there's this little. It looked like the little, the zippered pencil cases that you had in school. It was one of those that must have been for their cash drawer for that register that I was at.
Oh,
And I open it up, and there's like money in it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So, and the money was more than I spent on the clothes. So, so I called the store, and I said what happened, because, for a half second you go, well, maybe God wanted me to have this money.
yeah.
And then the other
It's
side of my brain
mine
goes,
now.
maybe God's testing me to see if I'm going to be
Yeah.
honest. So, I contacted the store, and they said, oh yeah, well, if you can just bring it back in, bring it to the desk, whatever. So I do that. I take it back to the store. Um, I go to their like customer service desk. I give it in. They just take it. There's no thank you. There's no, oh, here's, a $5 gift card to the store or something like that for being
Yeah.
honest and bring,
Coupon,
like,
20%
not
off.
even, yeah, not even, right. And no thank you or anything like that. It was just like, the person was actually kind of rude about it, to
Crazy.
be honest. Yeah. And I think I called later then and asked to talk to the manager, and said, I really think like that was bad, that I didn't at least get like a thank you for bringing this money back, that I could have kept and nobody would have known except me and God. So there's that. But but
Yeah.
yeah. So and then there was another one. Somebody I worked with. This is similar, but not exactly. Somebody I worked with back in the day. Their son had been traveling, and um, they had heard from a friend of theirs, like, hey, go to an ATM that's not your bank and put an empty envelope in there and say it was X amount of cash, and that money will get
Wait,
deposited to your bank. In other words, just an empty envelope, but say that there was $300, say, cash in it, right? When
but
you're
where
doing the
where are they
deposit.
saying that you even put it?
Like
I don't
an
understand.
ATM, let's say your bank is Wells Fargo. You go
Yeah.
to a Fifth Third Bank ATM, make a deposit to your account on that ATM, but when you put, where you put the money in the slot, just put in an empty envelope. And he said the bank will never, they don't catch it. It's like a thing. So the guy, stupidly, he was like a young guy at the time. He did it. And then he called his mom, like panicked about it, because the money showed up in his bank account. And he was like, well, I'm going to, he was worried he
What?
was going to get caught, and all this kind of, like, it was
I'm
kind of
gonna
like
go to
after the fact
jail.
he had all this regret, and he was
Oh
panicked about it.
wow.
And so she called the bank to, explain what had happened, that he was stupid for doing this, but, she doesn't want it to, she basically wanted to be upfront about it so that it didn't hit him that way. And their bank didn't want to hear about it. Like, they didn't want anything. Like, they were like, well, that's nothing to do with us. That's the bank that he did it at. And, as far as we're concerned, those funds are in his account, and it's fine. It's not, and it was like they didn't want to know anything about it. So they actually, like, you know, I mean,
So he just
and I get it, because
he just kept it,
they didn't. I
or
don't.
did the other bank
Now that
catch
I
it?
think about it, I don't know. I don't know what may have happened with it. Because the thing to me is, if you contact that other bank, like, they could go
I
to the
just feel
authorities and get you for fraud.
I just feel like eventually, like with the way as somebody that works with money, um, you might get away with it in the moment, but at the end of the day, like those
Yeah.
funds aren't gonna match up.
Yeah, at
Like
some
the
point. I
amount,
mean, I would think it would be quick too, because when you're doing a deposit, like, I would think somehow it tags
like it's
whatever
not gonna
envelope you put in
balance.
there. Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
if you did put that in, the money isn't gonna balance out of
Yeah. Yeah.
incoming versus outgoing. Like it's not gonna match up at the end of the day, even in terms of that, right? Like that $300 that guy did,
Right.
basically, it like let's say that the person who withdrew that 300 isn't even a member of that bank, um, they would still put it, they would still take that 300 because obviously they can't really, if you're not a member of the bank, they can't find the account because you would think that they would
Right.
be able to just easily, oh, who was there at the bank around this time doing a withdrawal for $300? Okay, let's just find that person's bank account and deposit it. Obviously, if they're not a member of the bank, they can't do that, but they would
Right.
still put it in like a ledger account
Right.
in case that person came back and said, "Hey, I'm the one who did that $300." They have that
Right.
$300 still set to the side that literally just sits in an account until
But even
it's
with that,
claimed.
I feel like they could have looked through like the ATM log for that day and seen, oh, who took cash out in that amount, around, sometime that day, or even look
Yep.
at, like, they all have security videos. I feel like they could have done something to. By the way, but how do
Crazy.
you do that? How do you, like, take money out and then you just forget to take the money out of the machine? Like, that's like, wouldn't you immediately get in your car and be like, wait a minute, you know, you know?
Unless they got distracted or yeah, I don't know. I have no
Yeah,
idea. If you found 300 in an ATM, would you take it? Or would you just
that's a tough one. That's a tough one because I would be worried to take it if it's sitting there, that's technically theft. But if you leave it there, somebody else is going to come along and take it, and they're not going to worry about that it's theft. If the bank was open, I would take it and take it right inside and say, hey, this was
that's
sitting on
why
the ATM.
he took it on a Sunday, went to the
Right.
bank on a Monday, kept it,
Yeah,
went to the bank on a
I
Monday.
probably would do that. I probably would do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's I was actually Adrian and I were talking about it the other day that nowadays there's so many people with like the little channels of like the good deed
yeah,
channels on
yeah.
like TikTok and YouTube. We were we were we were at some restaurant. We were in a drive-through and there was a guy in front of us. And he was like clearly, I don't know, he kind of looked like he was on something a little bit. No judgment, but I guess I'm judging. But he was acting like really crazy.
Yeah.
And he was like going kind of car to car. And he apparently, I guess, needed to use someone's plug in their car to charge his phone or something. Because he,
Mm,
like, you saw the cord coming out of the person in front of us's car. And the guy was like, it was connected to his phone. And he was like on his phone. And he kind of started coming up to our car at one point, and Adrian's just like, so the guy
yeah,
went
yeah,
away. And he's like, man, sometimes I hate turning people down because
yeah.
what if it's one of those channel, like those people on YouTube who it's
Right.
like, let's see if you could do a good deed. Okay, here's
Yeah.
$1,000
Yeah.
for
You know
letting
what
me
the
charge
problem
your
is with that,
phone.
though? There's so many people today that are just out there to. So you're not even like testing people for like whether or not they do.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're actually setting people up to get scammed, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it was. And then what made it worse is that he's sitting there. So, like, we couldn't pull up because the person in front of us was just sitting there now, letting this man just standing outside of his car just charge his phone. And he, like, did a,
Yeah.
like, friendly little honk, like a go, come
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
keep the
So
line
so this
moving,
was
help
like at a
him.
light that he was just
No, it
like
was in a
trying to get.
stop. No, it was in the drive-through line. It was in the
Oh,
drive-through line.
right.
So, like,
So he's like, hey, while you're sitting here for 5 seconds, can I get a charge on my phone?
literally.
Like,
So then the guy moves up, and they're still in the drive-through line though. And Adrian did like a friendly little like honk to just be like, "Hey, move up a little bit." And the old man in the car in front yells back, "You can wait 5 minutes." I'm like, how does he know what we have going on? No, I can't.
yeah, you don't know my life.
Like,
You don't know where I
I
gotta
can
be.
wait 5 minutes. You can
Like,
also pull into a space and let this man charge his phone.
like, that's rude. Like, see, that's the thing that gets on
Isn't
my
that
nerves, though.
crazy?
We've just like totally switched topics, right? But that's the thing that gets on my nerves is when somebody in the guise
Yeah.
of doing a good deed is actually being a jerk to someone else. Because like,
Yeah.
are you ever in traffic, right? And you're sitting in traffic and somebody comes up alongside and they didn't want to wait in the lineup. So they get come over alongside you or the car, let's say in front of you, and they wave them in or they wave them in, right? And now because they did that, you get the light red because
Oh,
because of that time that they took to wave them in, you get the light red.
yeah,
Yeah, they
that's
were
the
being they
worst.
were doing a kind deed for the guy in front of them, and they were
Yeah.
flipping the middle finger at the guy behind them because the guy behind them now is sitting at a light that he shouldn't have had to sit at because he was in the lane he was supposed to be in when he was supposed to be there. So that gets on my nerves is people that think they're doing a good deed but they're actually just.
But then you're being inconsiderate to everyone else while doing your good deed.
Yeah.
It's not really a good deed.
So no.
Now you made me late. Now you made me late because you had to help
Right.
this man. Who's more
Because
important?
you're
Neither of us,
charging
really.
you're letting somebody use your car as a mobile charger. It's just not.
And you
Plus,
could have
go
pulled in
go
a
into the
spot.
store. Go into the store. There's an outlet in
They
there. I'm
probably
sure you can
kicked him
plug
out.
into.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, if they kicked him
Sometimes
out, then
he should. Yeah, I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know. I didn't get the backstory because we were trying not to help.
yeah,
Unfortunately.
yeah. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Anybody comes up to me like it used to always be in gas stations. I used to hate it because people would always come up to you, and it was always like the story was always, "Oh, I'm traveling to,
Oh, that always
my
makes me
my cousin's
uncomfortable.
house or whatever, and they're 20 miles away, and I'm almost there, but I ran out of gas and I need gas, and I'm like,
Yeah,
can't help you,
I know. I
can't.
always want to help people like that. I always do. I do
Yeah,
wish that, I could. And there are times where sometimes they almost get me. They almost
yeah,
get me, but
yeah,
I'm just a
yeah.
girl and I can't be
If
helping
if the
strangers
sob story,
sometimes.
yeah, if the sob story's good enough, I mean, you want to
I'm
help
like,
anybody you can help, but there's so many people doing scams out there, and I'm just not going to be scammed by people anymore. Nope, not again. No, just kidding.
yeah.
All right. Well, I think that was fun. We remembered some things back in the day, and we complained about rude people today. So that's cool.
We should do an episode. You know what I want for our next episode? I want to do I'll tell you off
Okay.
air. I don't want
Yeah,
to.
you got to keep it a surprise. Don't spoil it. Tune
True.
in next time to find out what she wanted to do.
And tune in Thursday for game time to
Yeah.
see what we do then.
That's right. No spoilers. All right. Thanks for checking us out, guys.
Bye everyone.